Yeah, but I think Ryan.
Hello, sorry, I'm that's late.
That's okay. We have Taylor Hall for Lawrence Transit, Ryan for KDOT, Margaretta DeVries for KU, Jeff Crick for City Planning, and Chad Voigt for County. That's 5. We have a quorum. And that means we can go ahead and get started if you'd like, Vice Chair.
All right, so the April 1st MPO TAC meeting is called to order. Do you want to do the technical roll call, etc. mumbo jumbo?
Yes, we'd be happy to. Crick?
Here.
DeVries?
Here.
Dowling?
Here.
And Hall for Lawrence Transit?
Here.
And Voigt?
Here.
Okay. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Was there anybody here with public comment? Do we have anyone in your room or online?
Does not appear anyone has joined us in the room today. There is a member online who is not
Indicated by raising their hand or turning their video on that they would like to comment at this time and under general public comment.
All right, then we shall move to approving the minutes from the November 5th TAC meeting, item C on the agenda. Does anybody have any corrections or amendments or want to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the November minutes. Ryan Dowling, KDOT.
I'd second the motion.
Great. Everybody, you want to do a vote?
Okay. Crick?
Aye.
DeVries?
Aye.
Dowling?
Aye.
Hall?
Aye.
Voigt?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Excellent. All right, let's move on to the regular agenda items. It looks like there's just one today, which is TIP Amendment 1. Do you have a presentation for us?
I do not have a presentation, but I will share my screen and sort of walk you through the tip. Your agenda item D1, there's a full tip as well as the amendment summary and the public comment. This is the first scheduled tip amendment to the 2025 to 2028 Transportation Improvement Program. The tip implements the Long Range Transportation Plan T2050. This amendment is associated with the additions and revisions of costs and schedules for roadway projects, bike ped infrastructure, and transit operations. This project was put out for a 15-day public comment period from March 6th to March 21st, and 1 public comment was received and attached to the published agenda. There are 10 projects being amended in the proposed tip before you today and 6 new projects. This is, for those who are familiar with our tip amendments, this is more than you typically see, but it has also been 6 months since we originally published this tip. So it's been a bit longer, so you would expect to see a few more projects revised and new. So I'll just run through a bit of information about these projects. The new projects proposed are as follows. Tip number 416 was removed from the adopted FFY 25 to 28 tip, but had $100,000 remaining of FTA low-no funding to be spent in 2025. So it was included in this tip amendment to account for that oversight. Tip 417 was removed from the adopted tip, but had $26,000 remaining in CARES Act funding to be spent in 2025. So it was included in this tip to account for that oversight as well. Tip number 510 is a KDOT TA funded project for the second phase of the 10-foot wide Maple Leaf Trail in Baldwin City. It is proposed to extend the trail southwest from the historic Santa Fe Depot. Tip 524 and tip 525 are both new Safe Routes to School projects. 524 proposes to construct 1,500 linear feet of sidewalk and sidewalk ramps along an identified Lawrence safe route on 2nd Street, Lincoln Street, and Castle Drive. Tip 525 proposes to construct approximately 4,600 linear feet of sidewalk and compliant sidewalk ramps and markings along an identified Eudora safe route on 10th, 12th, 14th, and Elm Street. Tip number 609 is a new KDOT proposed project to upgrade a traffic signal near TP Junction in Douglas County. I'll pause real fast in case there's any questions.
I do have a quick question on the 2nd Street safe route to school. Is that 2nd Street on the side of town by McDonald Drive, or is that North 2nd Street over in North Lawrence?
Correct, that would be 2nd Street in regards to next to 2nd and McDonald Drive through that intersection to connect kids that formerly went to Pinckney to Deerfield.
I would like to recommend that you label it as West 2nd so that it's easily clarified for people who are reading this in the future.
Just looking real fast at the actual tip item. To 2nd Street from McDonald to Michigan, it does not say West 2nd.
Yeah.
So
Just a
We can
thought for this,
Yep.
for the summary. Also, there's an M missing, and where there's the comma, it should be an M, Lincoln from North 2nd to North.
We can make
Did you see
that
that?
correction, yes.
Oh, I see it here.
Yeah.
Mhm. Wonderful. Easy peasy. Thank you for that attention to detail, Margareta. Any other comments on we've only talked through the new projects so far.
Cece, would you mind going to tip number 609?
Happy to. And what I've pulled up right now is just the amendment summary. So here's that amendment summary. I can pull up the full tip page if you'd prefer.
Okay. So right here it's showing 384 at the bottom right, and then in that table you were just at before, what does it show as that grand total?
What's on your beginning table?
So 9. This is total project cost.
That looks incorrect.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Okay,
Yes.
we'll adjust that. So the database, so it must be pulling something incorrectly.
Making it up for myself real fast. Thank you all. Okay, now moving to the amended projects. Just again, quick blurbs, but I'll pause afterwards for comments and questions. The amended projects for the first amendment to tip 25 to 28 is tip number 148. It is a Lawrence project proposing to increase 2025 local construction by 1,633 for the reconstruction of Bob Billings from Castle to Monterey Way. Tip number 151 is a Lawrence project proposing to increase 2025 local construction by 1,000 for the reconstruction of Iowa Street from 23rd to Irving Hill. I do want to point out our numbers in this database are in the thousands. Tip number 236 is a KDOT project proposing to increase state funds for PE, utility, and right-of-way phases for 2025 and 2026, increasing the grand total by $23,156 for the SLT K10 West Leg in Douglas County. Tip number 250 is a Lawrence project proposing to move $3,200 in local funds from 2025 to 2026 for Bob Billings expansion, East 800 to K10. This was the project that received one public comment attached to the agenda item. Tip number 403 is a Lawrence Transit project proposing to move CPT and Ike Legacy State funds from capital phase to operating phase funds for 2025 and 2026. Tip number 412 is a Lawrence Transit project with no proposed funding changes. Rather, comments were added to provide more information about the 5307 funds. Tip number 420 is a Lawrence Transit project proposing to increase 2025 federal funds from 80 to 135 and local funds increasing from 20 to 33. Tip number 516 is Lawrence project proposing to add 932 in 2025 local funds. Including a new right-of-way phase and reduce the federal funds by $650 for the Lawrence Loop shared use path, Michigan Street to Sandra Shaw Park. Tip number 521 is a Lawrence project proposing to move 500 in local funds from construction to PE for the Lawrence Loop Trail, Kaw River, 7th Street to Constant Park. And finally, tip number 607 is a Lawrence project proposing to add 250 local and 250 federal funds to the PE phase for the Massachusetts Street, 14th to 23rd Street multimodal improvements. Additionally, the construction phase was moved from 2025 to 2026. I would welcome any questions or comments from TAC members at this time.
Does this mean that the Michigan Street to Sandra Shaw Park section is actually going to get built soon?
So tip number
That's 516.
So we have construction in 2025. I don't know if.
Sorry, that was a personal question. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Well, I mean, the project sponsor requested those changes, and so they're moving it to continue to update the project. I don't know that it speaks to their final date of construction until they begin that project.
Sure.
So we would have to reach out to the project sponsor to inquire more about timeline. We can do that in an email if you would like additional information.
If you happen to have time for that, I would love to know more.
Okay. Since that project sponsor is not online, we can do that.
Any other comments or questions on the items in the tip? There is additional information on these projects within the full tip agenda item. And we are ultimately requesting TAC provide a recommendation of approval for this tip amendment with the suggestions that have been made already and forward the item to the MPO policy board, which will meet April 17th.
Does anybody have questions or want to make a motion?
We will want to open this up for public comment.
Oh,
before we
yes,
make a
sorry.
motion, But
I have
we're still in discussion.
I guess I have a question. Is with the expansion of Bob Billings, will this be like annexing more land into Lawrence? Is there like,
Well, the long range, a lot of those decisions are guided by the long range plans that the community has in place, either the comprehensive plan or plan transportation T2050. And so this project is not introducing, this change is not introducing this project to the tip. It's just moving it from one year to the next. But those decisions are done independently of the roadway project. But there will be right-of-way changes with the Bob Billings project. So there might be right-of-way which is brought into the city. We would want to discuss that further with the project sponsor, who I don't believe is online today.
okay, yeah. I guess I just, as a comment, Lawrence Transit serves, you know, incorporated parts of Lawrence, and this, you know, that could expand our service area at night and the affect travel times and everything for our on-demand service, because I don't think we could hit that spot with a fixed route service. It's kind of in a weird outlying spot of town that could make it hard to serve by transit.
Yeah, that may be a conversation worth having with, I believe Jake Baldwin is the project manager on that. It's still in the initial phases, and the changes to the tip were moving funds from 2025 to 2026. So you have at least that much time to have those conversations and figure out the logistics behind them.
Okay. Yeah. So do
I
I need
think
a
see
contact?
that
Can you
we,
send me the contact for this? Or is it in the tip?
We can provide that to you.
Okay, thanks.
I do see a hand up. Samuel
If you-
Carter.
Once you're
If
ready
you'd
for
like-
public comment.
To move it
Oh,
from
are we
discussion
not?
to correct.
Sorry, I skipped a step. Does anybody else have discussion before we take public comment? Looks like everybody is on board with moving to public comment. Samuel, if you want to unmute yourself and give your comment. Are we time limiting comments?
We typically allow 3 minutes of public comment, and I'd be happy to set a timer if you would like.
Let's just keep track to make sure we stay within the normal limits.
Thank you. Yeah, and actually, I didn't realize that the Bob Billings project was limited to a revision for moving funds from 2025 to 2026, which I had submitted public brief public comment, written comment, just voicing an objection to the project overall. But it sounds like two things. One, I actually would support moving the those funds to 2026 or pushing those funds back. But secondly, also, it just seems that even the scope of the MPO consideration isn't necessarily an approval, but this seems to be more administrative, as in I presume the city of Lawrence has included this project in their capital improvement plan. So I guess if anyone could help me out, that would be kind of the appropriate venue to voice concerns about it, whereas the MPO is just more of kind of an administrative matter, acknowledging that this is kind of the list of projects that have been put on the table. So that's really what I aim to voice. Thanks.
If you would give me the opportunity to respond briefly just to that,
Please do.
clarify. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, this document of the Transportation Improvement Program is something that's federally required to list all of the regionally significant transportation projects. We are an MPO that is not a transportation management area, so we're considered a smaller MPO. And as such, we don't often get dedicated funding where we're doing project selection. So other larger MPOs are doing that as part of their TIP program process, where the MPO, the Technical Advisory Committee, or their policy board is choosing which projects get funded. However, in our region, that's not the case. And instead, all of these projects have committed funding by the project sponsor. So either whether that's any of the individual cities or KDOT or the county or transit, that those decision-making bodies are programming those funds. And by the time it gets to this point in the process, while it is listed and there are changes tracked as part of this body doesn't necessarily control those elements of allocating funding to a project. And this body is more looking for consistency with our regional transportation plans, of which staff explores with project sponsors through the questions that we ask on the back end in regard to how projects are meeting set goals in the plan and consistency with the plan. And so that's what we're looking at in regards to projects that we program within the TIP.
Samuel, did that help answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Excellent. Does anybody else have any public comment? I guess, is there anyone else on here who's not a member?
There's no one in the room indicating they would like to provide public comment, nor online. I will, however, note it looks like another member of our tech committee, Dave Cronin, has joined online.
Hello, Dave. We're talking about the TIP amendment. If you have And you're joining us late in the conversation, but if you had taken a look at it, if you have any comments or discussion, now's the time. Otherwise,
I don't have anything.
is this the point at which we would entertain a motion to approve?
Yes, I'm looking for you to recommend approval to the MPO policy board.
Does anybody wish to make that motion?
I would move that we recommend approval of the fiscal year 25 through 28 tip amendment number 1 to the policy board.
Would anybody like to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to recommend approval. Would you like to do the roll call vote?
Yes, Crick,
Aye.
Cronin,
Aye.
DeVries.
Aye.
Dowling.
Aye.
Hall,
Aye.
Voigt.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously 6-0.
And we'll make those small technical changes, the spelling and the oversight on the grand total to align with the other parts of the project before we bring it to policy board.
Great. It looks like we've made it to the quick updates section of your agenda.
Yes, so in the quick updates, we have a few things. We might popcorn back and forth between them. The annual listing of projects is the first item on the quick update, and that is a memo that staff drafted back in December. However, we have not met since that memo was drafted. And it is not an item that needs any action by this board. Rather, it is a requirement from the state and the feds to outline the obligated federal funding in our MPO area. And that information is also in the tip, but it was just a memo outlining it in 2 quick pages.
Okay, we wanted to let you know we have our Lawrence Bike Plan update underway and kicked off our survey last week and our community engagement for that update process. And we've linked to the update website where you can find out more information about where we'll be tabling and doing public engagement for our first round. And more work with our steering committee and our timeline for that project. So we encourage you to check that out. We'll be back to you with more. We'll probably leave this update on here as we go through this project, and we'll be back when we have a draft plan.
And then I also wanted to point out in the quick updates, we have redesigned the MPO logo that was done in-house and just speaks a bit better to the brand we have with the city and our other partners. And you'll start to see that on the Lawrence Bike Plan and other pieces we're putting out. It was on the tip, this amendment, as well as you might notice, Jessica and I are in a different place for this meeting. Our MPO office has changed locations, and that information was updated on our website as well. And that is all the quick updates we have for you.
I just have a quick question. For the bikes plan update, Dre was wondering if there was anything that you guys have, that he could send out for, cause he's the transportation regional person. Is there anything that he could send out to let people know that this is happening?
Yeah, we will send that to him as in his role as mobility manager. I think he probably has some contacts with stakeholder organizations that would be valuable for us to reach out to in this process. So that's absolutely something we can add to the list to send to him.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for the quick updates? Where is your new office? I didn't go look at your website yet.
So our website now just lists our PO box because it's not open to the public per se, but we are sharing space in the Call Water Treatment Plant with Dave and all of his engineer buddies.
All right. I see that we had another person join the meeting. Is that another
That's
member?
It's one of our friends at KDOT.
Gotcha. Well, he's joined us just in time where we reached the end of the agenda with discussion about the next meeting.
Yeah, we anticipate seeing you in May. Since we had waited till April to see you, we forgot chair and vice chair elections and our annual COMA and CORA for Kansas Open Meetings and Open Records. So we'll bring that to you in May, along with what we anticipate as a draft of our Vision Zero plan. So those are things that we anticipate having upcoming for a May discussion for you. So.
Great. With that, I believe that, do we need a motion to adjourn the meeting or do I just adjourn?
No, once we've completed our work, we can be done. So
I'll also note real fast, the difference with this space rather than our previous space, we're no longer videoing straight to YouTube. It takes a couple days for us to take this recording and put it online. We will still be posting these and they'll be on our MPO website and on the city's YouTube page, but that is just another change to note. We're no longer live streaming.
All right. That means you can edit out any swear words or bleep us, right?
I don't know how to do all that techie stuff.
That was a joke. There's no swear words or bleeping in these meetings. I believe that means that we can adjourn the meeting.
Yes.
It was nice to see everybody. Happy spring.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.